Joining me today is a New Zealand-born author, speaker, and founder and headmistress of Michaela Community School, a free school established in London all the way back in 2014. Katherine Birbalsingh, welcome to the Rubin Report.
Hi.
I'm very happy to have you here.
Well, thank you.
So tell me a little bit about young Katherine.
Well, I mean, my father is Indian Guyanese, my mum is Jamaican, black Jamaican. I say that because the whole race thing is important, you know, bizarrely, because these days, you know, people are so much more interested in who said it as opposed to what is being said.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the conservatives on my blog that I was realizing I'm agreeing with you, and I'm not agreeing with the left-wingers on the blog. And it was then that I just thought, well, maybe I am just a conservative. So, you know, I accepted it, and then I accepted the idea of being conservative, and then in 2010, I voted conservative, which was a major deal for me. And it was funny, because, you know, after I did that, I remember, this was after I ended up in the press and so on, I was speaking to a friend of mine, and I said to her, and she's Indian, and I said to her, you know, yeah, well, obviously you've seen me in the press and everything, and how I voted conservative, and she said, well, you know, I have something to tell you, Katherine. I voted conservative too. And that's the thing, people are doing this and they can't admit to it. It's so crazy. So. I talked about black kids failing, and that I talked about us not expecting enough of kids, and how we are constantly making excuses for them, and how we label them with things like anger management or dyslexia or all these kind of labels that we give the kids. Oh, he can't possibly behave. He's got issues. That's what we always say. They have particular needs, and we have to meet their needs, as opposed to just expecting them to behave. Everybody has different needs. We can't expect anything of them, and that's just the norm. It's the norm. So I talked about all of this. I talked about competition and how it was needed in schools, that kids need to feel as if they're competing against somebody else and so on. They need to feel like they're being inspired to work hard, as opposed to being indulged and constantly let off the hook because, well, it's not your fault. Your parents are divorced. It's not your fault because you live on an estate and you're black and your mom is a single mom and you can't possibly do your homework. I mean, I don't understand this, you know? And that was because over the years, you know, I'd worked for a summer once in South Africa. I'd been to see schools in China and Brazil and India and all of these countries where the kids were far poorer. And yet they were walking 5 miles, getting to school, and working really hard. So why was it that those kids could do it, and apparently our kids couldn't do it, you know? So that was why I questioned it. And I said all of this stuff at the conference, and the conservatives liked what I said. Yeah. Because nobody ever says this sort of thing. And then, as I say, I was out of a job, and then I thought, what do I do?
Wait, how does that happen? So you give this speech, you're fired the next day? I mean,
well, no, I resigned in the end, but it was just untenable. The press, I was everywhere. It was like one of those Hollywood films. I couldn't go outside my door because there were press waiting outside to talk to me. Yeah. Like,
she says personal responsibility is a thing, go get her.
This is what's so crazy. All I'd said was, ultimately I was saying that the education system was broken. So I decided to set up my own school. And I got a group of people together, and then we started trying to set it up. Now, this was not easy. And it's really hard, although they do try, you know. When we were trying to set up the school, I used to say, gosh, it's like we're like making nuclear bombs. I mean, all we're doing is setting up a school. I mean, we would we would have parents' evenings. So first of all, I'd be out in the street handing out flyers, running into hairdressers and saying, does anybody have any children who might want to go to the secondary school? And, you know, women would be coming out of their hairdryers saying, okay, I'll have one, I'll have one, going into churches and mosques and temples and all sorts. And then we would have a parents' evening. Once we had it in the pub and all these parents were arriving, our detractors are outside picketing. They've got like posters that saying Tory teacher, all sorts of insults. They're screaming obscenities at me, calling me names. And we had to hire a bouncer because we were so worried about the possible violence. And then when I was talking to the parent, these are parents finding out about a school. That's it. And they're all poor parents from the inner city, right? So you got all these black mums, black single mums sitting there trying to find out about this new school, and all these white middle class people, you know, well-educated, well-off people have infiltrated and are sitting amongst all of these inner city people who are wanting to find out about the school. And when I'm talking, they're standing up and shouting abuse deliberately because they're trying to disrupt.
But yeah, so but let's just focus on that for a second. What do you think it is about the intentions of those people? I try not to judge people's intentions. I try to judge their actions. But these working class, and I know you're not into identity politics, but they happen to be white, which you're illustrating here, that they're the ones that are attacking the black mothers that are trying to take care of their kids. What is it that these people, what do you think they really think? Why do you think they really are so invested in keeping everything the way it was? They'll say that they're for helping these people all the time. Then they'll look at a system that does not help these people. Then someone comes in and says, I'm going to help these people. Here's a track record of doing it. And they hate you and them.
Yeah, they do. And so just so I'm clear, these are white, well-off people, right? These are people who have everything. Some of them have been privately educated, right? I think it's because they believe in making people equal, that the state should make people equal, as opposed to giving people equality of opportunity. Because I'm all about giving people equality of opportunity. I want to make it so that schools are so good that everybody has an equal chance of making something of themselves and changing their stars, right? That's what I want to do. They don't like that. They want these people to continue being not being successful, and then they, as kind of these white knights in shining armor, can come down and the state can provide you with money and a free apartment and all sorts of things, and then they can sit at dinner parties and feel very good about themselves because, well, you know, I vote on the left and I'm a very good person,
even though none of it works.
Well, this is it. So they're not interested in whether or not it works. They're interested in feeling good about themselves, and they genuinely believe that the state is going to make things better for these people. And free schools, charter schools, while they are state schools, they break up the education system, right? So the unions aren't as powerful anymore, and they very much believe in the power of the unions, and they want them to have their collective bargaining. And if too many schools break out of the system and break up the system, then it devalues that power of the unions. So I think that they convince themselves that what they're doing is right, even though there are all these poor mums wanting to find out about another option for their child, and they're desperate. I mean, when I say desperate, I've had mothers crying, you know, in front of me, crying, saying, I don't want my child to get knifed. I want my child to have a decent education so that maybe he'll have a chance to get to university. I just want him to be safe, right? And then people are, and then what they'll do is they'll deny that's the case, that there are schools where children aren't safe. They'll deny. They just lie. They're just bold-faced lies about the system.